Well, good morning and welcome to day 15 of our GMP Live Feature. Today we're going to talk a little bit about product specifications. There is a lot to cover with product specifications. So I'm just going to go over some of what the Natural Health Regulations talks about. First off, it talks about natural health products that are available for sale must comply with the specifications that you submitted when you submitted your product application. So basically what that means is that when we apply for a PLA or an EPLA, as the case may be, we are required to talk about every ingredient within our product and the percentage or the amount of a certain ingredient in each product. And we need to go through our entire ingredient list and list the medicinal and the non-medicinal ingredients. We need to identify which ingredient is in at what amount, and that is what's considered our product specifications. And so under GMP, like under the good manufacturing practices, ultimately what we want to do is we want to be able to prove to Health Canada that every single time we make that product that those specifications are identical to what we have submitted. Morning, Corey. Glad you're watching and glad to have you with us. Where are you watching from today? I'm over in Alberta where it's a little bit overcast and yucky today. So the specifications, they need to be identical to what we submit with our original EPLA. If there is a change to those specifications, then we need to send in a change notification to Health Canada and modify our existing EPLA application. So our specifications need to contain the following information. So we need detailed information respecting the purity of the natural health product, including statements that indicate the purity tolerances. So what ingredient we're using and how we are determining its purity. Do we have the product MSG Us, that type of thing. We need to identify that. We need to identify each medicinal, like I said, ingredient. And submit. Oh, nice, Halifax. My sister-in-law is from not far from there. She's from Petitcodiac. So yeah, no, we need to ensure that the medicinal ingredients, that we detail exactly how much is in there, what the dosage is, and what the dosage form is for every medicinal ingredient. So that includes statements that indicate quantity and identity tolerances. Next on the list is if a representation relating to the potency of a medicinal ingredient is to be shown on the label of a natural health product, we need to provide detailed information respecting the potency of that ingredient. So that would apply if we are using an extract, let's say. We would need to include, like I use a lot of green tea extract in a lot of my products. And so that green tea extract is alcohol based and it is a 1:4 dilution and it's made with grain alcohol. And so all of the specifics that relate to that extract need to be identified in our EPLA. So that is when we get into, and I know we've talked about this before, we've talked about doing oils, like making herbal oils and doing herbal infusions. We've talked about doing herbal extracts and what that looks like. So what Health Canada prefers is they prefer a standardized, science-based natural product. And so if you're going to be using any of those types of ingredients, you need to be able to supply to Health Canada what the dilution rate is, what the ratios are. And then we need to identify that on our label as well. Next on this list, there's a whole long list. I think this is probably going to take 2 to 3 days to cover all of these specifications for the products, but they are important to go over. We need to provide a description of the methods used for testing or examining our natural health product. So we will get more into stability testing, but that's honestly an entire class of its own. I'm getting into like agar testing and pH testing and all of those things. So whether you're making a natural cosmetic or whether you're making a natural health product, you do need to be aware of the stability testing that's required, and you do need to be able to identify the testing methods that you have used to Health Canada when you are submitting applications. Then we get into specifications, and every change to those specifications need to be approved by guess who, guys? Your quality assurance person. So ultimately your QAP will sign off on all of the information that will be submitted to Health Canada for your applications. So ensuring that a product meets its specifications has two aspects. The first aspect is that the product specifications are established. So number one, we have established what is going into it, what ingredients are, what the ratios are, how we have come by this product. Whether it be that we are creating our own botanical extract or our own herbal oil, or whether we're purchasing it, and exactly what levels of each product are in there. So if we're doing an herbal oil, you know, how much dry material went in, what was your base oil that we used to infuse that with. When you strained it, was there any herbal matter left? Approximately what percentage of the herbal matter was left? How did you strain it? You need to have all of these specifics. And so there are templates that we can set up and work with that will draw this out and define this. So literally it will be as simple as going through and basically checking off a box and transferring your information from, you know, your extract sheet to your EPLA, if you're working within, you know, the natural health products regulation, or onto your CNF if you're working with the cosmetics regulation. But identifying all of the small details and pieces that go into making a product and creating a formula that includes these raw products. That is what Health Canada is looking for. They want to ensure that those specifications have been established and how you have established them. Secondly, it's that the manufacturer has a quality system in place. So that's where these GMPs and SOPs come into play. We can provide to Health Canada and identify the evidence that gives them, you know, our SOPs and our GMPs. And through this evidence, and it's all documentation evidence, they're not going to come knock on your door and say, I want to see you go through this process, you know, or chances are they won't. Like, I mean, they have the option to come in and do an inspection anytime they want. But ultimately, what they want is they want this documentation as evidence that you are, you know, working within good manufacturing practices, that you do have standard operating procedures in place. So those two things combine to make your quality system. So finished product tests need to complement the controls employed during the manufacturing and importing processes. So again, we're going to get back into those controls, the manufacturing controls and the processes that we were talking about over the last week or so. Those bits and pieces of evidence are what Health Canada wants to see. They want to see, you know, the people making the product, so the manufacturers, you know, they were employing good manufacturing practices. They had hairnets on. They had a smock or an apron or a lab coat on. They went through and they completed their sanitation process, you know, and all of these things, if you check them off on your checklists and you've got your documentation in place, this is the evidence that Health Canada is looking for. So then it gets into, it's the responsibility of each manufacturer and importer to have accurate specifications, accurate quality systems in place, and appropriate test methods that will help ensure that each NHP sold meets product specifications. And that's exactly what we've been talking about, is the good manufacturing practices that we need to have in place for any natural health products and for any cosmetic products in Canada. We need to meet the same GMP requirements. Then we get into, bear with me, my throat gets so dry when I'm doing these. I'm sure part of those is nerves. I don't know if you guys have ever jumped on and done a live and you've, you know, done any teaching, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking for the person doing it. So bear with me. So then it's our responsibility to develop and implement written specifications for all finished products. So that again, it just boils down to documenting what we are already doing. You know, we already have a formula developed. We already know that we are cleaning our surfaces and abiding by the sanitation practices. You know, right now, all it is a matter of recording what we're doing already. And I would challenge all of you that if you are formulating this week and if you are making this week, use your phone. It's as simple as that, and set it up to video what you're doing step by step. And then take that recording and break it down in written context. And that will be the start of your GMP. And it will also give you a chance to examine what you're doing and find room for improvement. find changes that need to happen, and then implement those changes. You know, it's simple steps like that that really help to develop your core good manufacturing practices and really help you identify where you are at versus where you need to be. So I do challenge you all to do that. I know that I have done that several times, and it's actually quite shocking sometimes. You know, the smallest of details that you might think are the smallest of details are actually like a big part of the larger scope of things, right? Like I wash all my surfaces down with a 75% alcohol spray that I make myself. And by doing that, I am sanitizing, and I'm cleaning it, and I'm washing it. And it never occurred to me that that was part of my sanitation process, because it was just part of my normal everyday, you know, for my formulations. And so once I started developing my GMPs and working that all out, it was as simple as including in the GMPs, it asks you for a chemical breakdown of what cleansers you use. All it was writing that formula down for that cleaning spray. And because it's alcohol-based, it was acceptable by Health Canada. So then we have to ensure specifications are maintained and that every single change is, number one, approved by your quality assurance person, and number two, needs to be submitted to Health Canada through a modification. So you will modify your NPN or you will modify your CNF with those changes to the specifications after they have been approved by your quality assurance person. So these are just some of the things that we talk about when we talk about product specifications and documentation. And it starts right from developing your formula, through your setup, through your making, and through your cleanup. And it's just recording all of these practices and recording where we are getting our raw materials from, how we're inspecting our raw materials, and how we're inspecting our final product. So those are some of the things that Health Canada wants to see us doing. And yeah, so that, I guess that'll be part one of this product specifications. Tomorrow will be part two. And then I guess tomorrow's already Wednesday. On Thursday, I'll do my live via Zoom so that I can actually share with you guys some of the product specification documentation templates that I use, and give you guys a better idea of what you may need to create or come up with in order to get your product specification portion put together for good manufacturing practices. So that is it for today. Nice to have you join me, Corey, and I hope you guys are all having a fantastic start to your week after the long weekend. We'll chat with you soon. Bye for now.